live. All right.
Everybody listen to the phones. Oh, wait. I can do it. Are we going?
Yep, we're up.
Yep.
All right.
Try to work it. All right, let's start with October 12th, 2021.
Well, we should start with a roll call.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, sorry.
October 12th, 2021 council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And let's start with roll call. Councilperson Bruger.
Here.
Council President Wolf.
Here.
Councilperson McNamara.
Here.
Councilperson Benedetti.
Here.
Councilperson Curl.
Here.
And Councilperson Trimmer.
Here.
Awesome. All right, and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go straight to September 28th, 2021 council meeting minutes.
Move to approve.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
All right, there are, for those here with us today in person, there are green cards over on that table. Fill them out with your name, address, note the portion of the meeting that you would like to speak at, and brief explanation of what you intend to speak on, and we will work you into the meeting.
Okay, let's go straight to village official reports, and let's start with Police Chief Matt Dell.
You all received a copy of my report. I don't have anything additional to add at this time.
Did you want to comment on the, was there a 33% increase, was it, in activity from the previous year, month?
So if you're talking about
In your summary report, you showed this year and last year, same time last year, you showed a 33% increase in traffic, I think?
not 33%, just 33 overall traffic stops.
It's actually like a 50% increase.
So, I mean, is that just because they're more active, because
I think because last year, COVID was very active and the officers pulled back on physical contact with people.
I think there was probably also less traffic this time last year, in general.
Yeah, most people were working from home and didn't leave the house.
Yeah, I know you guys have been short, so, thanks for, everything you guys are doing. It's increased stress, I'm sure, with the reduced staff.
Yeah, I'm actually open to the 10th this week, covering shift.
Yeah, it's,
All right, anybody have any questions for Chief? Okay, let's move to Leah Klein, Fiscal Officer.
I don't really have much. I did want to, I was notified by Rita that they are sending out, they mailed out subpoenas yesterday to taxpayers that owed income tax. And just like last time, if anybody contacts you, to have them directly contact Rita. The number is 800-860-7482. I just spoke with Kim this evening. We just had a meeting, and she is working on closing the month of September. That's all I have.
Awesome. All right, anybody have any questions? All right, let's move to Mike Flickinger's engineer report. Task order number 14, Westerville City School District Minerva Park School Plan Review. They're awaiting for the school district to submit its proposal for the widening plan for Farview Road. As soon as that is submitted, they will review it and get back to us. Task order number 17 is the GIS development and support. The initial viewer with the previously discussed information is complete and ready for the village's review and approval. Upon village approval, the viewer can be made accessible from the village website. Eric and I will be discussing that over the next couple days, see if we can kind of play around with it and see what we need to do, to get it up and running. Task order number 18, 2021, storm sewer improvement project. They checked the apparent low bidders references and submitted their letter to us, recommending DJX Construction Company LLC to be awarded the project. We prepared the conformed contract project manuals and notice of award. I actually signed the notice of award today, so they are working on all of that to get finalized. They began coordinating with the contractor regarding their schedule due to shortages in material and delays in shipping, for example. The specified pipe has an 8-week delivery time once approved. We recommend the village construction be postponed until spring of 2022. They are coordinating with the contractor regarding potential mobilization, dates, and price guarantees. So they will be working with the contractor and us as we go through this process. So, not the best news in the world, but it's news. Task order number 20, 2022 storm sewer improvement project. We finalized the scope of work for the third-party surveyor to provide the services necessary for the design and forwarded their prices to the village. We will begin design once the surveyor delivers the topographic survey information. Task order number 21, 2021 storm sewer CCTV. They await basically where we're gonna go with this. So they've given us the 2021 storm sewer analysis, and at this point it's sitting in our laps to decide what we wanna do to move forward on getting some of those. I believe there was really nothing that was urgent.
Maybe a $20,000 repair out of 400.
Right, so.
That needs to be done soon.
So we will be looking at all of those probably in the next streets meeting just to determine, do we want to move forward? Well, of course we want to move forward with the ones that need done, but what exactly needs done now versus in the next year. So we will be working with Mike on that and with the streets committee. And that is Mike Flickinger's report. Let's move to Jesse. And I just basically brought that up because Jesse is not able to attend our Tuesday meetings, as you guys are probably aware. He already has a commitment with another municipality on Tuesdays. So as long as we continue to have Tuesday meetings, he will not be in attendance. So if anybody needs anything directly from him, we'll be able to coordinate that. Obviously, I talk to him quite often. We all talk to him quite often. So if somebody needs something, just let us know. But he will not be in attendance. But I think having Mark here is what we need at this point. So let's move on to planning and zoning.
Hold on a second.
Oop.
I don't know if this is the time, but
Go for it.
to get a question to Jesse about
Yes.
that fence appeal.
I
Where are
would.
we at with that?
I think we can probably get an update. Let's hold that. Let's see if we get an update from Eric on zoning, or not zoning, village planning. He may have an update, because he's been working with Jesse on that too.
You want to go first? Since you're first.
Do you want to go first and do your planning and zoning, and then we'll get to that?
Planning and zoning, we talked about,
We
No.
have not passed code enforcement.
No.
we talked about, just briefly about the amphitheater project, and that's moving forward. Shelter by the basketball court, that's moving forward, I think, well,
To get here.
to have council decide what they want to do. I guess it's safe to say that the Planning and Zoning Commission is recommending that we put in a shelter somewhere. The initial discussions were to do it by the basketball court, or on the other side of the street from the basketball court by the playground equipment. And that's something I think we'll talk about I don't want to get into the details of that, but we'll talk about that probably in the community committee meeting that we have coming up on the 18th.
19th, 6 p.m.
And then we are reviewing the sign code, and that will be coming to us soon to approve. I don't know, we did not, we're still working out the details on the changes to the sign code. And I believe that was all we have from planning and zoning.
Cool.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go to village planning, Eric Fisher.
And then just jump on the back of what Tony was saying, and yeah, I talked briefly to legislation tonight that code will be coming up, probably by the next meeting, just so they're prepped, giving a little brief overview. So we expect in November for full review of legislation at that time, and then the council following. I don't have anything major to discuss. The only other item I mentioned in the session on Saturday was that working with the schools to make sure they keep the streets a bit cleaner. We're going to get regular street cleaners out and get the mud and make sure we don't get our storm sewer stuck in with mud, which they're dragging a lot of the conditions out there. So that's been handled. And temporarily they're making sure that the neighbor on the far northeast corner of the elementary school isn't getting hammered with water anymore. They're making sure the grading is adjusted until the final grade is proceeded so that situation is corrected. I don't recall there's anything else major from the work session I mentioned, but other than that, there's legislation tonight that I think we did mention concerning financial advisors. We'll take any questions at time if the council has any.
Anything on the fence?
Thank you. The fence, just an update, I'll let legal counsel send an email around as to when a meeting will be officially scheduled. We're holding a couple dates at the end of October. He is working with legal counsels on both appellant and permit holder at this point in time. So falls in his court as to how it gets coordinated, since he's the referee in the quasi judicial setting that we'll have here soon. So.
Do you like that answer?
No, but.
I mean, it's moving
like all
forward.
the other ones I get around here.
No, well, I think
I
that
mean,
just-
I'm at the point where I know Jesse's not here, but I feel like we need to go into executive session and discuss this. Because, well, what's that?
You can't go into executive session and discuss
To
it.
discuss pending litigation? that
You're not being sued.
Well.
You're not being sued.
Well, that's, what that, all I will say is that both people, the person with the fence and the people opposed to the fence have both had to get terms, which I'm under the impression that this is gonna end up being something we could find ourselves in, litigation. So that's why I do believe it's something that we should, before this it's been going on and on and on. Code enforcement's not being done properly, in my opinion, and we need to talk about it before we find ourselves in another lawsuit.
We're not in a
so-
lawsuit.
Not yet.
But I think this is just me saying this, but I think you need to hear what's actually going on.
I know, that's
other
why I wanna
than
go
there-
into executive session to talk about it.
But you would have,
Outside of the public. You can't-
Well, okay.
You understand why? It's been explained to you by the legal.
I understand it, but once we are in litigation, then it is something we can talk
That's
about.
right. That you
Fine.
have a right to do that.
Okay.
If the village is under threat of litigation, you have the right to go into executive.
I'd just
session.
like to hear from our attorney that we're not.
Okay.
I'd assume that we'll be notified as soon as we are.
Yes, you will be.
Wow.
All right.
All
And-
right, thank you.
And at that, now, Mr. Segovia has submitted a green card to address council regarding planning and zoning and court enforcement. So if you want to step up to the podium, give us your name, address, and I need to set it for 3 minutes.
what do you do to start?
And
You
we
just
have
hit the button on the top. And you now have a handy dandy
I just wanna see it work.
stoplight timer. Ready? On your marks, get set, go.
Robert Segovia, 3010 Wood Lake Road. I came to a council meeting a month ago regarding a CU letter dated 8/30/21. That letter was 3+ years after I sent a letter that addressed a previous CU letter received in 2018. The village chose to accept that reply and follow up with no action or even response by their own volition. The 8/30 letter I received does not constitute working with residents, as been stated multiple times. It certainly does not demonstrate that the village done over to help these residents at Farview and Road Lake Road, as was stated during the work session. That statement and others, like the residents there don't like to mow the grass like everyone else does down the pavement right away, or people are refusing, and they're refusing to do what we ask them, or expecting the village to come out and cut our yard simply because we don't want to, or implying that we are trying to get away with something, or statements about people who do develop cut around their mailboxes, so we should also. These statements made during work sessions and other times do not provide a truthful or accurate characterization of the situation. By the way, all four of us cut around our mailboxes, just like everyone in the new development does. You know, that's not an aspect of the situation anyways, and I'm not sure why it was brought up. These statements made, anyways, the one C letter after 3 years does not, the respondent to reply does not address the previous C letter, does not constitute working with residents. At that meeting, something was stated to the effect that I was there to be cited, that I will be cited, that you will be made to cut the grass in the right of way. Now, that fits with what might be the new village Minerva Park motto of, if you don't do what we say, we just go ahead and stick it to you, as Eric Fisher stated. I do not feel that's a good direction for the village. I've also heard the term friendly letters regarding these code enforcement letters. Using nice and friendly words in a letter does not mean the letter is friendly. The fact is, receiving a CE letter is not likely to be perceived as a friendly action, and I doubt that getting a friendly CE letter is on anyone's top 10 of things they want to get. Is it on any of yours? I didn't think so. I feel maybe gearing towards informational as opposed to whatever this friendly view is would be a much better direction. I pointed out some aspects regarding that letter that I didn't care for, plus I provided suggestions I thought might help improve to convey better information in such a letter to residents. On a side note, I noticed the village maintenance person cut and trimmed along parts of Farview yesterday, and it took quite a while. It actually took like a couple hours, I think, or more. I feel that helps to give an idea of how the items unique to this area create an additional burden for maintaining it. That is one reason why I feel that burden should be associated with ones that made the decision to place those items there and that have benefited from it. That should be associated with that. Thank you. Oh, one other note. You know, no one's really reached out aside from David, you know, regarding, you know, talking about, you know, the possible removing the fences. I mean, that's the only kind of reaching out that to me, has been done for myself. That's it. So maybe you all should look to follow his example.
Okay, code enforcement. Everybody has the zoning officer, John Canty's updated report. Maybe? I'm looking? Yes, we do. So I don't know if everybody had a
I
chance.
got a question about the,
Go for it.
the, car washing.
Yes.
You know, are you saying those people need to get a home occupation permit?
So
Or what is their
there's a-
violation?
So, yeah.
For washing cars in the driveway?
So no, they're running a business out of their house. Actually, they've admitted that they actually have an office outside of here. They bring some of the cars from the business to the house to wash them, okay? And what we've explained to them is that, yes, you have need a home occupation. Their biggest offense that's causing problems is the neighbors are calling in, you know, the constant activity and the noise, and they're blocking the sidewalk. So we've warned them on multiple occasions to, you know, stop blocking the sidewalk. People can't get around you. You're doing commercial work without a permit within the within the municipality and the residential district. So we have talked to them on multiple occasions.
So,
Go ahead, what's the problem?
are you telling me he needs a home occupation permit?
Yes, anyone that runs a business out of their house or doing a commercial activity within a residential district according to our code needs a home occupation permit. We would review it. If there are conditions that need to be placed upon it per our code, we would do so. If they're not allowed to have it, like if it's something that's completely not within the realm of our code, we would tell them no, they would need to get a variance otherwise, or they would need to cease operations, or we'd have to bring them to court.
Well, what's the because you know, the home occupation code is one of the many codes that needs to be revisited, and it's not very well written, in my opinion. So who is it that decides whether that business is permitted or not?
So right now, what happens is, we review it from an administrative standpoint, okay? If it does not meet the code, all right, the code is clear, you can read the code, you're always a big fan of us following the codes. So
Well,
read the code's not clear in that particular case, due to the conditions laid down by the code, then it's a no. If there's conditions that they need to meet, they can have that occupation there. For instance, if I'm an insurance agent, I work in my house, and I have a client, there's a number of many things that are within the code, it's all spelled out.
I
would
know,
suggest you read
it
the code.
doesn't, but it doesn't, what you're not grasping
What am I not grasping?
is that there's no code that describes what business is acceptable or not acceptable.
Actually, there is.
No, it doesn't.
Absolutely
What
does.
it does is it gives examples of acceptable businesses.
Correct.
but it doesn't list every business.
Don't have to list every business.
So if it's not listed in the ones like millinery, or some of the things that are listed as acceptable businesses.
So would it be acceptable for me to bring home livestock and then slaughter right on my front lawn?
That's
Would that be
a whole
acceptable?
nother.
No,
that
it's
is
not,
a
that's
whole-
not listed, and therefore it is not allowed by.
Okay, all right, let's get to the point I'm trying to get to, is who decides what's an acceptable business? You're saying if it's not spelled out in that
The
code.
administration decides what's acceptable, not acceptable, based on what the code says.
Okay.
If they don't like that, they can then appeal that ruling.
I understand all
Right
that
now.
stuff, but
Good.
what I'm getting
Council
at.
has the authority to then rewrite the code, and you can turn the residential district into a large commercial or industrial district if
You
you
know,
want.
Eric,
And then
every
do everything
time
they
I
want.
bring something up, you manage to find a way to blow it out of proportion and describe it as the Wild West and that I'm advocating that we just allow every business. No, I'm not. What I'm trying to do is make it fair for the residents of this village to live here.
So you've got three
You know,
complaints
can I
around-
finish, please?
Sure, go ahead.
Eric, this is what you constantly do. The code is a wreck, and if you're gonna start enforcing it, then we need to take a look at that. And because I hadn't brought this up until now, I see here we are coming down on somebody for washing cars in the driveway. Something that is completely acceptable for anybody to do. They can't block the driveway. That's absolutely right.
Yes,
They
it is.
can't block the
Sidewalk.
driveway, but that doesn't mean they're not allowed to wash a car in their driveway.
So,
For their own
so
personal use.
If I may.
All right,
if
I'm
I may,
done. We'll go-
there-
we'll
there-
move
There
on.
is a delineation between a commercial activity and a personal use activity, right? And that's the difference here. Now, you have expressed on this occasion and on others that this is one of the codes that you would like to have revisited. I would invite you, though I'm speaking for Councilperson Gruber, he can correct me if I'm wrong. You are welcome to bring whatever suggestions you'd like to make to that, any changes you'd like to make to that portion of the code to the next legislative committee meeting, and we can discuss that at that time and place.
I'm sorry, I just found out about this just, 30 minutes ago, so it hits a nerve with me.
Well,
I would also actually, just real quick, add, although I understand it's not against our code, I actually wouldn't be against making it against code to wash a car in your driveway. All the water, soap, and chemicals that you use to wash your car goes straight into our lakes and streams and not to a water treatment plant, which is why, one of the reasons you get contaminated lakes, algae blooms, is because
You
of the phosphates
can
in the plant.
use that as your platform when you run for council, that you want to outlaw washing cars.
Oh, I didn't say I was gonna do that, I said, but you said no one thinks washing cars in your thing is unacceptable, and I was pointing out, actually, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're concerned about water conservation and keeping our lakes and streams clean.
So-
That's why car wash places have catch basins that then put it through the treatment plant before they release it to the wild.
So, Ms. Merrick,
They also have biodegradable products.
Yeah.
one ask I would have.
Exactly, thank you.
The code enforcement's report.
Yes.
Is that in the open violations, section, it would be good to have what section of the code
Okay.
was in violation, because it would have been interesting in this conversation to quickly go to
See it.
the section of code that this is in violation of, so that maybe we could have had a more useful conversation right here and now.
Perfect.
But
Right.
since we
Did you say-
couldn't, and because occupation didn't search quickly in our code, we can't.
Okay.
It's under comprehensive residential improvements.
Well, there you go, moving on.
All right, let's go to Councilperson Diane Shrimp for MPCA.
Okay, MPCA news, right now, you saw from the newsletter that membership drive has started. It'll, drive will go through November 15th, and people can sign up, renew for MPCA, either online or wait for a rep to come by and, knock on their door. We also are using the membership drive to collect changes to the directory, and the goal is to get the directory out by the end of the year this time. Hopefully we have a better system to do that. So any directory changes should be recorded as soon as possible. And the reps will be reporting directory changes as well. There is a Meet the Candidate Zoom at 7 p.m. on Monday, and there'll be a link to the Zoom on the Facebook, the MPCA Facebook there'll be there'll be a posting by, probably Monica, Gidry, and, with the link, just click it, and you'll be in. There is a, 2 p.m. this Saturday, unless it rains, there'll be a Halloween, get-together with the kids over by the playground. We proposed, and the mayor and MPCA president agreed to combine the November and December newsletter into one newsletter, because December is usually so busy and dead that it made sense to save a little money and combine November and December. So we'll be doing that. As far as they did have the elections, and the incumbents were re-elected for 2 years, and that is Treasurer Melody Knudsen and VP Abra Greensburg. And also, we do have the new secretary, I don't know if I mentioned it before, Carrie Jarka. And that's it.
All right, okay, we're gonna move on to mayor's report. We have been, admin I should say, has been working with Garmin Miller, as everybody's fully aware, on the facility building. We still continue to do that. Right now, the ball's pretty much in their court. So we're waiting for any additional updates that they have for us. Barb has actually been working on getting some more COVID tests for us. So we went through the first 500 and some, and then we went through 200-ish, and we have now requested an additional probably 200 again. So, yes, okay, yeah. So we've gone through a boatload, but we are completely out, and as soon as we have more, we will get that posted online, because I know everybody is waiting for them. To piggyback off what she was saying about the MPCA, and did you call it the Halloween event, or what did you actually call it? The one on
The children's Halloween.
the children's Halloween party. The connector road is going to be closed. I believe that is the event is Saturday. The connector road is going to be closed from 1:30 to 3:30. So just as an FYI for anybody that is watching, hopefully we'll have some Facebook postings and things like that from MPCA to remind people that it is going to be closed for those 2 hours. And then just a reminder, trick or treat is going to be October 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's all I have. So let's go to count.
Is it time to get questions in on the Garmin Miller issue here? I mean, or do I have to wait till the end?
Do you have a specific question?
Yeah, I'd like to know what exactly is it well, when, I asked this before, what stage of the contract are we in? There's a schematic design phase, then there's another design phase, and then it goes on to construction document. There's 3 different phases. Okay. At each one of those phases, we're supposed to approve a.
No. I think that's your misunderstanding, which was my misunderstanding. Now I understand. The council doesn't approve.
The mayor does.
The mayor does. So because you have given her that authority. And so what'll happen though is once the bid documents and everything comes back, before you obviously authorize appropriation, before you authorize, what instrument you want to use, which again gets back to legislation on tonight, council will have say in ultimately moving forward with the project as a whole. So you're going to, I think once Garmin Miller as mayor is updated, gets us back a certain level of plan sets which we're working towards, the council will get all of those to review to see what they can.
So what has the mayor approved the schematic design plan yet?
It's one of those things that we're I would say
trying to figure out what they're still working on.
Yeah,
Because I saw you guys sent
they're
out
working on updates, buddy.
updates on what?
Well, they
came
have
with
the
the
floor
evidence
plan,
here.
Hold on,
right?
if
Family
you-
bathroom.
maybe I can
See,
help
this-
Tony, maybe I
It
can
would
help
be
with a
nice if
clarifying
council
question.
was involved in some of these
Tony,
conversations.
may I help with what I think was a clarifying question? What is the next deliverable we are expecting from Garmin?
The next deliverable will be, I think you've seen the updated floor plans.
Correct.
Right? The next stage is, I think they're working on the exteriors.
Okay.
So you're going to get a set of the exteriors to look
Mhm.
at, and there's gonna be some choices, because we're getting to some details.
Okay.
Right, to how your building's gonna look, And those are important for the
Okay.
council to choose for their residents.
And so the floor plan that we currently have and the exteriors that we are anticipating, those are building to,
Those are building to your final point, you know, as you get towards the actual construction step. Once you finalize those, you know, if we're getting to the details, once you're finalizing those details, then they can fully address a complete set of building plans that
Gotcha.
are ready to go to bid, right?
Gotcha.
So we're getting to that stage.
so this is these two pieces, the floor plan that we currently have and the exteriors that they are currently working on, are those then design and schematic deliverables?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, Tony, I think I got answers to your questions there.
There you go.
Very good, okay.
Okay, let's go to council committee reports. Let's go to councilperson David McNamara for community.
Hello, so there is going to be a, community meeting on the 19th at 6 PM. What do we specifically have it listed as the discussion points on the?
I believe it just says community.
Okay, so,
That's usually all we put on those. We don't put a specific agenda
Oh, okay.
or anything on
Cool,
the
cool.
report.
I know sometimes it's, you know, to discuss legislation or this or that or whatever. Cool, so it seems that the, primary focus will be code issues. Anyone's welcome to attend, with regards to the, individuals on Farview and the fence concerns. Again, I make it a rule not to make promises that I can't keep, but I hope we come to some solution for you guys. Also, I received, a request from a resident a few nights ago. Would it be possible to have the, or would it be possible to include some curb sweeping maybe, or some curb repairs in the near future, as there are cracks and grass growing out them that
Where is that at?
on, Ponderosa and Kerwood are the main sites that this resident noticed. However, driving around, I did notice it, in many of the, ancestral parts of the, yes,
So
village.
Are we just talking about spraying to get the weeds down? What are
Yeah,
we
maybe
talking
throw
about filling
down-
in some crack?
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
fill in and patch some stuff.
I think that may be part of the
Okay.
annual report with Mike, you know, as far as when they go for curb and street.
Correct.
Okay.
I can tell you that in the last 3 years, we have talked about off and on curb repairs, and the easy answer, or the easy comment that I will make is, I have had numerous complaints over in the Maplewood Alder Vista, which some of those curbs are actually dirt now. They're non-existent, there's grass growing through probably, 75-85% of the curb and gutter, I should say the gutter area. So it depends on exactly what they're looking for, but this is not unheard of, this is not a new request.
Okay.
But that's something that would actually go to the streets committee.
That's where I was gonna recommend it
And
next.
yes, so it's just a matter of, you know, when you start, where are you gonna stop?
Well, I think the problem is what, in the past, the maintenance guy used to drive around and spray weed eater, or
Right.
weed killer on all the curbs. Well, that hasn't been happening.
We're not allowed.
And, well, what people are noticing is all the weeds that are growing up in between the street and the curb. And especially on my court, it's horrible.
Right.
You know, and.
Maybe that's
I mean,
something we can go
I don't
dig
know,
about.
But that's something that, if you read the code, our code requires the residents to maintain the gutter. If you read it, you know, and that, I mean, it does say that in the code, and that's something that in the past had never been done. Well, it wasn't being done because we were killing weeds. But
Right.
now there's a lot of residents, especially over in the court area, where there actually are curves still there
Right.
that you can see. That's what the problem is that the weeds aren't getting killed and the residents don't feel that it's their responsibility, so.
Well, maybe that's a,
I
something.
don't know if
we
that's
talk to
something
John
that
about.
gets, you know, like, I like following the code, and I know that that's in the code.
Mhm.
And that's something we can talk to John about. I mean, it is, so it's something that maybe Streets Committee can still, there are so many areas that are in need of repair, replacement, but then you start talking about, I mean, that to me is gonna be an OPWC bond or something, I mean, that's not gonna be,
I know in our section, like Kerwood, he was talking about Kerwood, you know, there's some broken curbs that are there, but there's not nearly as bad as,
the weeds are the worst part.
the weeds
Yeah,
is the
if they'll
problem.
keep
That makes
growing,
sense.
keep cracking, making it worse. I mean, the guy's
Oh,
got a
yeah.
good point. I definitely
Yeah.
agree with him.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
you know, it's just-
absolutely.
Then we gotta go shake the money tree again.
You let me know
let-
where that's at.
What?
Can you let me know where that's at?
The, The last thing I have is, when we got the email about Rita sending out these subpoenas, I'm sure that's not gonna make anyone's day. I was hoping that it may be explored in the future, putting in the newsletter or sending out, I know we hate the phrase friendly letters, that, Rita payments are coming up. It's quarterly, correct?
We actually did do
Well,
that.
they
in this
did,
letter.
Rita
In the
did a
newsletter? Okay.
letter.
I know I saw it the one time, I didn't know if it was a routine thing.
Rita did one letter that says, here's your notice. And if you don't contact us, you'll be subpoenaed. So these are the people that got the letter and did not respond, and now they're being subpoenaed. And yes, also, it was in the mayor's report in the last newsletter.
And around tax time, we do put in there, don't forget to pay. We put a block in there, in the springtime that reminds people to file Rita taxes. I know we did, I can't remember what months we did it, but we've done it a few times with the 800 number listed.
Okay, I know this is just like my first real Rita season, so I don't really know if this is a normal thing that happens, I guess. It is.
Yeah, this is an audit that Rita does for us every 2 years. And it actually generates quite a bit of money. So yeah, nobody wants to receive it, I get it.
Unless I misread the email that we got from Rita, this isn't delinquencies, these are non-filers. Right, so it's not like, oh, you mailed it in, but you were $75 short. This is, you never bothered to file. So now you have to file.
And these are probably newer residents that are not.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly, this is how I found out about Rita, to be perfectly honest. This was my letter last month, so to the people who are also receiving them, you are not alone.
We also had Rita in here, I think it was a couple of
Yes.
years ago, and there was discussion about the people not required to file. Well, I'm one of those. I keep getting notices asking me to file. So I did a couple voluntary ones where there's
Right.
zero tax liability, and then they were trying to charge me a fine for late filing.
Yeah,
And-
they're fun.
So it's not a quarterly thing, it's a yearly thing. For some reason I have it in my head that there's a quarterly aspect to this.
They
You can pay it
ask-
quarterly.
No, I have no intention
Yeah,
of doing
they
that.
ask that when you file, that you pay your first quarter estimate, so that
Okay.
you are paying in, and I do believe that they actually prefer you pay quarterly.
Oh, of course they do.
It's when you file, you're supposed to pay whatever you owed for last year plus your first quarter estimate.
Correct.
Okay. I was under some impression that it was supposed to be paid quarterly, like as a rule. I just wanted to clarify that because I'm fairly confident I'm not the only, maybe I am the only one confused. so-
No, you're not.
Oh, no, it's not. And the only other that I got bit with, it's actually due January 15th, not April 15th, so don't think you have until April to pay it. Because if you don't pay it by January 15th, for you self-employed people, good luck with that.
I'm well aware of the fines and fees and interest.
Me too.
Don't get me wrong, I paid up from 19 and 20 at the same time, it wasn't fun.
I don't pay it till April, so
Never is.
never.
That's
Okay.
all I've got, guys.
Awesome. Let's move. Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Okay, let's move to Finance Council, President Brian Wolf.
We did not have a finance committee meeting last month, so I don't have anything new to report. However, we did schedule for I believe it was the 26th at 6 p.m. of this month. Be there or have a good one.
Even better.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a meeting before this meeting?
Legislative.
That was
That
legislative.
was legislative, huh? Excuse me.
Nope, you're good. Okay, let's go to Councilperson Joe Curl Streets.
We met last Thursday for streets and had an informal meeting. We had one resident, complain that on, over by the schools on the street, the signs were being blocked by vegetation. I submitted some pictures of virtually about every sign there is blocked by the new landscaping. But I think we resolved that that's a maintenance issue. And, so hopefully that resident is happy. The Jacobs engineering report, I think you covered very well. And, Eric covered some of the, other street issues, so there's nothing really new to report.
Okay, let's go to,
Could we, what's gonna happen with the trees?
I'm gonna have maintenance go over and check to see which ones. He actually goes through the village. He did the ones on Jordan Road just recently that are covered, so we'll have them drive through the village and cut back some of them and see how well that works without killing, you know, as long as we don't kill anyone.
I just throw out there, some of those are like, the only way to cut them, you're gonna kill them.
Well, and that, so that'll be his, you know, the determination of do we just let it go for a little bit longer, cause sometimes they just need to grow a little, grow a little bit, yeah. So,
Yeah.
we'll determine, yeah, we'll make he will make the determination if it needs trimmed, or if it's just something we just gotta deal with for 6 months. If it's a safety hazard, we'll discuss what we need to do, but at this point, driving around the village and doing that over the next couple weeks as we're winding down on grass cutting. So you guys should see that here in the next few weeks. Okay, so let's go to communication, Councilperson Diane Shrimp.
Okay, communications, we have not had a meeting. I'm thinking though that, and we were supposed to talk about newsletter contents at our work session, and I just forgot to bring it up.
apologize, yeah.
So I thought, since we're postponing this deadline on this newsletter to include November and December, we can have a discussion, since our 26th council meeting should be fairly brief, we could include that in the council meeting.
Sure.
Okay. And that's it.
This is not the time for this, but I'm gonna make it the time for that, cause I can. What are we doing on Tuesday, the 19th-ish?
I think we
Did we make-
decided not to do anything.
Nothing. That's what I wanted to verify.
I believe the work session said we didn't, need a work session on the 19th.
Okay,
Right.
so I'm canceling everything for the 19th, just as an FYI for everybody. Okay, we just wanted
Cross it
to,
off my calendar.
The
Alright.
community meeting on the 19th?
No, the, after the community meeting was intended to be either a council work session or a community forum, so we're canceling that.
Okay.
correct.
Well, that means it can run over it needs to.
Yeah. Take all the time you need.
So your meeting's still on the 19th?
Yes, 19:06 p.m. I believe, my sense Teresa, that our code enforcement officer is invited as well.
He is going to be invited as well. I have not spoke to him yet.
Yeah, just for some, you know,
He was on
in-person
vacation,
clarification.
he was on vacation, I was out for a couple days, and I will see him tomorrow. So we will discuss, and worst case scenario, I will have Eric there. So,
Perfect.
because he'll be able to answer the questions, we can have a meeting with John before then, and we'll see which schedule works. I'll have one of Eric Fisher or John there to be able to
Perfect.
work with them.
Thank you so much. Clarification.
All right, let's move to Safety Councilperson Tony Benintendi.
Nothing to report.
Perfect, even better. Legislation, Councilperson Mark Bruger.
All right, we did have a legislative meeting tonight. It's already been mentioned a couple of times. Planning and zoning has sent up some proposed changes to, our ordinance 1280.03 about signs. It's not a final thing, so it's still sort of floating around. That was the main new thing that was discussed. And we'll probably have another, I imagine, legislative meeting on the 9th probably, but that's in November and we haven't scheduled those meetings yet.
All right.
All right, so on to reading the legislation. Our first is ordinance 13/2021, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the fiscal year 2021. We've been talking about this for a while now. This is that we're getting into the last quarter of the year, and some things we thought were gonna cost a lot didn't. Some things we didn't think were gonna cost a lot did, and this is shuffling the money to where it needs to be. There is a complete list. The mayor's told me the list on the legislation is complete and all the changes. Unless anyone has some questions for her, or actually Leah's here, about the changes, I will move to approve.
I have one very brief question.
Yes.
Don't look at me.
I see account 1,490,400, other community environment, supplies and materials. It just went from 0 to 10,300. I'm assuming that's just moving something into a new specified account.
I
Or-
don't, I can ask him, if she's the one that did the supplemental appropriations, I can ask her what she had planned, because I don't know.
Well, this would have been spent money probably.
Yeah, because it's
Other
increasing.
community
it by-
envi-
I mean, that's a specific number there. I assume she was pulling from extra and putting something in there.
Yeah, I just know we have these very specific, like slots, money can go in all these.
Right, so what do we
So I
spend?
So I just
money
wondered
on
what it was.
in the community center?
There's no way we spent that on picnic tables and trash cans.
No, it's not what it comes from. I was thinking that
That's
it
not a
was.
lawnmower maybe, or will they go
No.
somewhere else?
No, it's environmental. I'm wondering if that had to do with the, mosquito spray.
Probably, yeah, that would make sense.
Oh.
Well, because they sprayed like 4 times, so I'm making that up, but I feel like that was one of the things I had her check.
That's about right.
It's about the right price and it fits in the right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we've got storm sewers and drains, probably $400 for some asphalt patch or something, or.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So, but no, I would assume environment, that would have to do with the mosquito spraying, which really bit us in the rear end this year.
Well, so do the mosquitoes.
That is,
That is-
that's cute. Okay, move
Better
on.
that than West Nile.
All right,
Okay, so you have moved to,
I have moved to approve since this is our third reading.
I will second the motion.
Any debate?
all right. Councilperson Benedetti.
Aye.
Councilperson Berger.
Aye.
Councilperson McNamara.
I,
Councilperson Curl.
Aye.
Councilperson Diane Shrimp.
Aye.
Council President Wolf.
Aye.
All right.
All right, and it passes. All right, ordinance 14/2021. This is a first reading of an ordinance contracting FBT Project Finance Advisory LLC for advice, related to certain municipal projects and related financing options. This is the financial project advisor division of our law firm, not our law firm, of the law firm we currently contract with for other services. It is looking into ways to borrow money to complete some large or big ticket items such as the community building and the lake fixings, dredgings really. That's the only thing that's gonna fix it, is to scoop out all the dirt. And that's just the first reading.
I actually have a question about that.
Question.
Why was this written as an ordinance and not a resolution?
I was gonna ask that same question.
That's the way the legal counsel sent it over.
Okay,
So,
Can we
we're
just-
just putting it up there, if we need to adjust it to something else, we'll ask them, but that's what they sent, and we put it up there.
okay, yeah, I think it's worth looking into, because typically contracts like that are resolution.
Yeah, understood.
Glad you asked, cause I questioned it.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, wait.
All
That's the
right,
last
I
one.
wasn't paying attention closely enough. All right, our last one, resolution 2021-29. A resolution authorizing a contract with Groundmaster Landscaping for leaf pickup and declaring an emergency. This is our third reading of it. We're gonna enter a contract, in theory, if this passes, we will enter into a contract with Groundmaster Landscaping. The cost will be $28,000. The contract will last from approximately October 22nd through December 17th. And these are a new company. This is not the company we've used last year. In many ways, the company we used the past 3 years does no longer exists, as its owner sold interest to his son-in-law. I do know this was the lowest bid of the two we got. And we have had Groundmaster Landscaping do some work with us before, and we're generally pleased with what they did. So, hopefully they'll do a good job with the lease pickup. And of course, we're declaring it, I want to declare it as an emergency, so it can actually be ratified in time for them to start picking up leaves in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
otherwise it'd be
10
like
days.
mid-November.
Yeah.
So,
So, first I will
Move to approve
move to approve
as an emergency.
as an emergency.
I will second.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
what we're
wanted to
gonna
say
do.
that this resolution, the document needs to be corrected.
It's already been corrected.
Oh, I'm
She's
sorry.
actually there and I did.
That's the one that's here.
Yeah.
I know.
You're totally fine, no, totally, it is, yes, it is going to
Because
be
yes, in the
adjusted to
original
us.
packet, yeah.
Yes, the original packet has already been adjusted, because I did forget that it was an emergency. That was my fault.
So,
Well, I was pointing out the fact that you didn't have the name in the title, but just fix that too.
Diane, have you not heard of like 12X leaf pickup?
I
Yeah.
have not.
All right, Councilperson McNamara.
I,
Councilperson Curl.
Aye.
Councilperson Shrimp.
I'm hopeful, but I'm doubtful.
You know what? It's called live and learn. We'll know next year.
Well,
I
yeah,
know,
we're all
I know.
gonna learn, that's for sure.
Hey, I'm the one that's gonna get the calls. Councilperson Wolf.
Aye.
Council President Wolf, sorry. Councilperson Benindetti.
Aye.
Councilperson Bruegger.
Aye.
All right, emergency. Okay,
That's all the legislation.
all right. Let's move to old business.
Well, you know, I'm gonna have to say something. I wanna spend, you might as well, you know, has that got a 10-minute timer on it? 'Cause,
I gotcha.
Councilperson
Yeah, I-
Benedetti, if you wanna hold on for 45 seconds, or I'll miss the 45 seconds of your thing, I'm gonna run around the corner real quick and run back.
all right.
I mean, I don't wanna miss out on it if you're here, but I have finished my water bottle since the meeting.
He's asking for a brief comfort break.
Yes.
I know, we should have some like pause music or something. Do we have any of that?
Run out, get some popcorn, run to the the
Let's
concession.
go
Yeah.
out to the
Tony, you should have brought us.
Let's go out to the
Go get your raisinets.
I could ask a question about,
Go ahead. Yeah,
the basketball court.
yes.
Has there been any, have you gotten any feedback from residents that, maybe that place, the position of the, shelter right there, might not be the best placement based on the activity of the basketball court?
I think you're gonna get I think you're gonna get pushback no matter where we put it, I'll say that. I think that, you know, if you go to any park, when you start looking by the playgrounds and park areas, that's where a shelter typically is. If you go to any of the Westerville parks, most of the shelters are near a playground or near those types of things. You know, I've heard people say, well, there's too much going on and there's not enough parking, but, you know, ultimately, the thought is people are gonna walk to it. We'll see. I mean, that's gonna come to council, it's gonna be council's determination, I think. You know, the other places that we could put it, it's not really gonna be accessible for one place that has been in discussion. My concern about it is it's not really accessible to a lot of the residents, to be able to get to. So I think it's gonna be brought to you guys. I know Tony has a concern of location. He doesn't love that location. Personally, I think it's the best location, but that's me, and I don't vote on it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's up for discussion for where everybody thinks it should go.
Well, seeing that we're talking about that, I might as well take a couple of my 10 minutes to talk about the location.
Do you want us to start?
You ready?
Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we're starting.
This is the beautiful thing about this, you know, or is this Anastasia? You know, how nasty it gets to the residents and even the council members about, you got 10 minutes, you got 3 minutes, and done. You say anything, we're gonna have you escorted out. That's character of the village right now, you know, but I digress. What I'd like to talk about is the community building, because, you know, I really think we need to change the name to the municipal building, because that's what you guys are designing. That's what the staff and the mayor have been the only ones involved in the designing of this building. We recently were given a new floor plan, which has the dumpster right at the front corner. That's just gorgeous. That's gorgeous stuff right there. Having the dumpster right in the front corner of the building. You know, I can go down the things about this, moving that step. I want to understand why the architect is moving that step from going down this way to going down that way. Why is he doing that? You know, it doesn't make any sense. The parking lot, he's now discovering that it's gonna be difficult to make the parking lot ADA compliant when it's out at the street. You know, most architects, in my opinion, will design a parking lot that is level with the floor plan. Instead of, you know, in order to do the parking lot the way they're designing it, you're gonna have probably 2 switchbacks where you're gonna my grandfather had multiple sclerosis and was in a wheelchair. This hits a nerve with me, is that we're gonna have people in wheelchairs having to go up, you know, a ramp to get up to the community building. You know, the design of this building is horrible, in my opinion. And right now, the only people that have been involved in the design, the only residents of the village that have been in the design phase of this has been the mayor. It's been Leah, Eric, and the chief. Those 4 people are the only ones that had any say in, should we put the parking lot over here? Which a lot of people, I think, would like to do. I know I'm one of them. And have the community building on this side over towards the lake. You know, it is so, I think about how are we gonna do carriage rides? You know, with a dumpster there, 5 police cars, you know, it's been moved over, you know, probably 15 feet into the parking lot. I hate the floor plan. And there's a lot of other people in the village that have been involved in, or I wouldn't say a lot, there are other people that are familiar with what's going on and they don't like it either. So what we're doing now is heading into a situation with another referendum. And the last building, you know, we probably lost $30,000–$40,000 because of the referendum. We're heading in the same exact direction because there hasn't been any involvement in the community to say, hey, this is what we're gonna do, what do you think about it? Because at the last meeting, it was told, this is the floor plan, this is what we're doing, and we're moving forward with this. So what I'm hoping that we will do is start to listen to other options. Because this plan right here, you know, the architect doesn't have any incentive to reduce the size of this building because he gets paid by percentage of the total cost. And we came back with changes. There weren't any, it wasn't made any smaller, and there's areas like the basement is not being used for anything in this plan. There's, you know, where the police are operating out of now, there's nothing, it's planned for future use. In the existing design, there's a storage room connected to the police area. We have a whole area down in the basement that's not being used. It can be used for storage. But we're gonna build a whole nother room for storage. It just doesn't make sense. And I really wish we could get involved in saying, hey, we'd like to, and again, you know, Mark, you said that, you know, the reason that we can't move move the community building to that side is because we'd have to raise it up. No, you don't. You don't have to raise up the community building to add on over there. You know, so it would be nice for there to be some discussion about changing the floor plan, because at the rate we're going, as soon, unless you guys pull some stunt and pass it as an emergency, I'm going to go start walking around and ask the residents if they want to vote on this. And that's the direction this is heading. And you, and Mayor, you're the one that has pushed, you know, pointed us in this direction, because you haven't allowed anyone other than the staff to be involved in these discussions. So keep up, you know, keep heading down this road, and we're going to be heading down another $50,000, $60,000 loss. You know, so you know, that's all I got to say.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on, 1 second. That's it? You're yielding the rest of your time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Make sure
your
you-
time to
I yield my time to
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
honorable. Mr.
Okay, time me to, okay, so, regarding the facility, back in, August, I'm looking now, back in, May of 2018, we formed a subcommittee of, the, finance committee to research, the new or, new remodel, tear down and build facilities. And that subcommittee consisted of, it fluctuated in size, but to 12 to 15 residents who are interested in putting in the time to take a look and do research and et cetera. And frequent reports were also given to council, and things were posted on the web. So we also had, before we formed the committee, we had opened up to the entire community the opportunity to participate in workshops, and many people took us up on that. 30, 40, 50 people several workshops we had, and we asked questions about what was the most important things, what would be the most important things to you, for the community building, what about the location, how important it is to you, if it stays here or moves someplace else. What is your priority? Is it the police first and then the administration second, or vice versa? Or is it the community room is the most important thing? If we have a community room, what is the most important thing about that community room that you'd like to see? Just a number of things like that, in terms of what the building should look like, what it should represent, a more modernistic style or a more traditional style. We covered those questions, and people got together, residents did, in a circle of about 6 to 8 people, and they talked amongst themselves, and then each group presented to the whole group, and we made notes, and from that there's documents in there that talked about what was most important to the residents, at least the residents who participated in this facility. So all of these materials, all the materials, the research we did, we visited other facilities, we visited other police departments, we got to know, we asked the question every place we went, what do you wish you'd done differently? What do you wish you had that you didn't get when the building was built? And took down all those notes, made those available to everyone. So in the end, I think we actually got an architectural company to do some renderings for us. We measured the building, we did the topographic survey, we got all that done. In the end, the architect came up with some designs, and I think there was a disappointment. The main disappointment in the end was that we only had about $1.2 million to work with, and it just wasn't enough to have a larger community room. If we focused on the administration and especially the police, we couldn't make a bigger community room. So that was a disappointment, but there was but we went ahead and tried to get the village council and administration to go forward to the next step. At that point, it was November, and it was a previous mayor, and the council was going to be flipping over, and we were going to have some new council members. So because of all those factors, there was not a will among the council. There was not a positive enough feeling to want to take a vote and move forward. So it was tabled. So fast forward, with the MI section being built, more opportunity for financing, more opportunity to spend more money on a building to make it the community building, the community room, a little bit more larger, and overall the facility give a little more leeway in terms of construction, etc. So the mayor and the administration took all of the information which had been collected since 2018, took that into consideration, and of course reviewed with her administration what their needs were to see if they were the same or different from 2018. And then moved forward with our vote with the Garmin Miller as the architectural company to go forward and come up with a design. It's a very difficult task. If everything were right in the world, you tear down this building completely, start over. But just the idea of doing that and the cost of doing that is prohibitive. So the village it doesn't have a perfect solution. They just don't. There isn't one for where we're at as a village right now and what we can afford. So like all homeowners are making tough decisions about, I really want that great room and I really want it to be this big, but, and, you make compromises and, you do your best to make sure the basics are covered. And so that is where we are in this process. So, we're not done yet. I know some of the things that Councilman Benedetti has mentioned are open issues, but we have not been presented with, and they have not done the final construction documents, which is, and some of the engineering work, which would reveal possible, oh, I thought that was gonna work, but now that we've gotten really into it, we see that maybe that won't work. We'll have to make some adjustments. We've got a long way to go before we're final on this. So things can, not big things, but some things may very well have to change. I will agree that my greatest concern right now is parking. How realistic is the building considering the limited parking that we have? So that I'm waiting to see. I'm having an open mind and I'm waiting for the external plans to be completed so that we can see what kind of ideas come out of that. And so that's my speech.
Okay. And I would just like to say, Tony, thank you for your comments. Diane, obviously, thank you for yours, because it's been a long road, I think, for all of us, and to make a point to that, I was at many of those meetings, as you're well aware, over 2018, 2019. I have listened to the residents, I have listened to council. We, as a council, interviewed the firm, the architectural firm. I did not pick the architectural firm, council did. So, you know, at this point, this is where we are. We will continue to keep council informed. We will continue to post things on the website as they become available. And, you know, as far as having the chief and Leah and Eric involved in this process, they are the ones, I mean, don't come to me and ask me how to design a police department and what is needed. I'm just gonna go there. The reason that we have chief in, you know, front and center in this is because he knows what his department needs. Don't, you know, you can come to me and ask me what I need for my mayor's office, but don't ask me what I need for a police department, because I don't know. I'm not in there. I've definitely had my eyes opened in the last few years as to what is needed in various departments as far as our fiscal officer needs and our administration needs, because right now we still have multiple people working in this room, and as soon as somebody gets a phone call, they have to run out the door or run into a different area to be able to use the phone. So we have Leah involved, we have Eric involved, and we have our chief of police involved, because they know what is needed for their particular jobs, and they are the ones that work in this building. And I have listened to the residents in multiple meetings with Diane as far as what the community has requested. And in a perfect world, we would have, you know, the biggest community room ever. It's not feasible. So in a perfect world, you're right, it would probably look a little bit different, but right now, the best that we're doing everything that we can to get this to an acceptable floor plan that is what we can all work with. So that's that. Again, thank you, Diane. It has been a long road, and we're not trying to not have people involved, but this is where we are. So let's go to new business, if anybody has anything for new business.
New business, when can I get involved in some of these conversations then with the architect?
Shoot an email anytime, and we will ask him any question you would
I'm
like.
not asking for, you know.
You can ask the questions as soon as we
I've
get the
asked the
signs.
question over and over again about what is the reason that it's so expensive to move the community building on that side.
And it's been
I
answered.
have yet-
Well,
Okay.
hold on.
I've heard
Tony,
one.
Tony, may I, again, let me try to ask the question for clarity, so that way, because you keep on asking it the same way and keep on getting the same answer you're not happy with. So
I
can
don't
you
get an
hold-
answer.
you-
I have yet to get an
you
answer
have,
from
Tony,
Goldman Miller.
Do you have
You
the
have
email?
gotten an answer.
Really no.
However, let's try to ask it a different way. Is it possible to get an enumeration of the estimated difference between parking lot on that side and parking lot on this side? That's the answer. That is probably the only answer that will satisfy the question.
All right,
So-
I'm gonna make a list of questions then.
Go ahead,
Good idea.
absolutely.
I've
We have-
asked them before, and I guess until I put them down in paper.
Yes.
Well, it's-
Right,
it's
put them
not
in,
just-
yeah, put them in paper and we just forward it to him and then he can answer those. That way it's
Great idea.
your exact question and not us
then we go
interpreting.
back and forth,
Yeah.
and then when, because he already answered the question about, why is it so expensive? He said, more grading. That was his answer. It's more grading. Well, could you
Okay.
just be a little bit more, well, I'm sorry, but that doesn't answer the question to me. It's more grading. Well, what do you mean by more grading?
All right.
We'd be
You know,
more
all
than
right,
happy
I'll
to
make
look
a
into
list.
it.
Thank you
Yes.
for listening to me.
Okay. Anyone else with new business? All right, citizens' comments. We have 3 here in the room. Mr. Segovia, you raised your hand first, 3 minutes, name, address, and,
You know the
First
drill.
off, to make sure I could raise my hand first.
all right, go ahead.
Rufus Segovia, 3090 West Bedford. You mentioned other places for shelter other than over by the basketball court. What other places are there?
One of them's down in like when you walk around the path and go down in there. Tony, I don't know if you can describe the area better. It's the place that you actually preferred.
Well, it's in the green spaces, then there's a pond and then the lowest area. It's kind of towards the south, very south part of the green spaces.
Sits between Wolf Birch and Black Sycamore, in between, which is phase 3 to phase 5, is where we're at. It's down in the gully.
There was talk about doing one
Like
over
that.
by the pool even.
Yes.
I think.
There's been multiple areas that they've talked about.
Well, I was curious, do you like by the pool, like right there next to the parking lot of the pool?
Like, yeah, in between the pool and the houses beside the pool, there's that green grassy area.
Or you mean across from the pool road, across from the lake road?
No, beside the pool, you know, in that grassy area.
Yeah, the grassy area that's back up to the house and down pond.
Right.
What about like across from the pool drag in that area? You know, I mentioned about a walking path being put there once in the one letter, which
Yeah.
I'm serious about because, you know, connecting, these places are, you know, to me is a good idea, but I think it'd be nice to have a walking path going to Jordan. You know, or.
Understatement of the day.
Oh, that's definitely.
Well, over there, the part across from the pool drive to connect the, you know, the development to where the
I
pool is.
believe at one point that was discussed and the residents who own the houses there were very upset about it going in. And council voted no on that. Now, that was years ago. And there's no reason it couldn't be brought back up again.
Brought it up.
But yeah, it's part of the development there, MI and council.
I understand about that, we're talking about a walking path, not a road.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying that was, at one point, that one point was discussed and a previous council said.
I understand, I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
state-
Yeah, I paused you 'cause I was
the
talking.
amount-
You're good.
The amount of space between the 2 houses there, across from Swimming Pool Drive, is twice as great as it is between the 2 houses on the south side of Minerva Lake Road, that Fairview Road is put between, twice as far. We're talking about a walking path versus a road. You know, I understand that the residents there are maybe not thrilled about it, because the one resident is never thrilled about anything that affects the fact that it seems that the village seems to bend that direction is beyond me, but whatever. The fact is, would be a great place for a footpath. And there's twice as much distance between those 2 houses for a walking path compared to a road. You know, I have another thing, that with the taxes, I believe the quarterly estimated payments for Rita, I believe that's actually a requirement, not just a suggestion. You know, I understand you shake your head.
We'll let you finish that thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I think we talked over you for some of your time,
Yep.
so.
But just finish what you were saying about Rita, and then we'll move on.
I believe it's actually a requirement, because I believe like the state typically requires you to have estimated payments and to make the estimated payment, just as the federal does. You know, as opposed to waiting and paying it at the end of the year, and I know that but they really don't care or have an incentive, because it doesn't bother them. Who should care is the places that are getting the money, such as the village. Those are the places that should care, that people are making the estimated payments like it should be done. You know, and I was under the impression, like I said, I've got swear to it, but I'm not positive, I thought that was actually more of a requirement as opposed to an option.
We can look into that. Thank you.
And I'll answer that really fast. After I talked to Rita, that is actually, they want you to make their quarterly payments, but you do not have to. As long as it's paid by January 15th, you are not penalized. Now, of course, do we want people to pay their quarterly? Well, of course, because you get it quicker.
No, I understand that they don't penalize people, but the fact that they don't doesn't mean that's not.
Fair.
Go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to make a somewhat informal introduction. I'm Anastasia Claus of Parkland Drive. I am running for council. When I got involved, obviously, I'm a person that have not been involved. I've had about 7 years of experience being on the American Podiatric Medical Association board, both on the local level, so I'm secretary, but I'm gonna, unfortunately, I have to switch and move to Columbus, so I'm resigning my position as secretary. I have more opening in my schedule. State level, I'm the only position trustee, have been for a while. Probably may have been at some point. And then on the national level too, I am a trustee too. So that's kind of one of those things where you talk with everybody and bring ideas together. And all those are leadership positions. So hopefully I will get to work with all of you.
Good luck. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Do you wanna, I know you're here. Do you wanna put you on the spot?
Well, Anastasia, since you started. My name's Hazel Shrestha, and I live on Alder Vista, 2764, to be exact. I am running for council. I'm very excited to run for council. I think I've spoken with quite a few of you about, some of the stuff that, I am very passionate about. That's why I've been attending, so I can kind of get up to know where we're at with everything. I am a media director with over 10 years in the industry, all of leadership positions. I work with the state retirement system, and I'm excited. I mean, I guess I don't know, like the sewer projects, but that's exactly why I'm doing this. I want to learn those things. For this, so long we saw on Facebook where it's like, well, you can come to a council meeting, and figure it out. That's why I started coming to them. That's why I decided to run for council. I want to understand it and see how I can contribute. And if we can change a little bit and make it a little bit better, that's what I'm for, so.
Good luck
Thank
to
you. Good
you
luck
as
to
well.
both of you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good luck meeting
All
with
right,
us.
so we are now past citizen comments.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? All right. Everybody have a wonderful evening.